Hi everyone, it's the EnglishSimmer here, and a few years ago now, we actually got probably one of the biggest updates to the Sims 4 base game when it comes to create a sim. I myself got a lot of use out of it, and I know a lot of you also got a use out of it, and that was the custom sliders for makeup, where basically you can change the hue, the tone, the saturation, all of those things, and basically just make the not so great EA makeup more customizable to your Sims. And a lot of people were hoping that this would one day come to hairstyles in The Sims 4. We have yet to see that happen. I'm still holding out just a little bit of hope. But today, I actually want to talk about a little mod, and it is little. It's only around 52 megabytes, I want to say. It's just one package file that you have to plop in to your mods and CC folder if you are able to play with mods, and it is called the Universal Hair Overlay by Jaseo, aka Josh. A couple of days ago in my stream, one of my mods, Alona, actually posted this and was like, I feel like this could be beneficial to you. It is available on CurseForge. You don't need the CurseForge app, I'm not gonna lie. It made my computer go a little bit funky, so I uninstalled it as soon as I installed it, and now I just download it literally off the browser. But it's a hair overlay CC for all Maxis Match hair, either made by EA or custom content creators. For all ages, all frames, there are 55 swatches, but then even on top of those 55 swatches, there are so many more because this uses the sliders that we have. It's found in the makeup category. Now, I know for some of you, this might be a little bit scary because what if you use all of these makeup categories? I usually don't use lipstick, eyeliner, and eyeshadow on every single sim, so I definitely feel like you can play around with them at some point. It's slider compatible, base game compatible, hack compatible, and we are of course gonna check this out in game. Josh actually suggests using the grey or white hair color as the base, then use this hair overlay to get the color that you want. If you want a more saturated color, use a non-white hair color as the base, then use this overlay. Highly recommend using the makeup sliders to properly adjust the colors, brightness, opacity, and hue. Let's check it out. I will say, if your hair actually has an accessory, for example, this new one from Home Chef Hustle that Tristan is rocking, it will actually change the tone of the accessory as well. So do just keep that in mind. But obviously, if we go to makeup, we sort by eyeshadow. We have a V1 and a V2. And obviously, you have these available in every single category. So like I said, it's not super restricted. If you do happen to use every single makeup category every single time you use a sim, you might not get the most out of this. I will say there are definitely some issues when you first place this on that you can see. Obviously it's a little bit pixelated. There are greens, purples, pinks. This is really nice if you've wanted to have more unnatural colors within the game, but you're not really vibing with the 5 unnatural colors. These are definitely more muted. And of course, as Josh said, you can play around with all of the sliders. So you can get even different hues of certain colors, and then you can change the opacity, you can change the saturation. Again, there are some little issues with it in the fact that it doesn't always cover the complete roots and tips and stuff, and you'll definitely notice that on certain swatches, especially if you do have a darker hair at the base. On some tones, it definitely blends in a little bit better, whereas obviously if you've got two very different tones when it comes to your Sims hair, it doesn't blend them in quite so well. So this isn't gonna work on every single hair, and I doubt you're gonna use this on every single sim. I will say, from playing around with Eliza Pancakes, these types of hair work really well. I just want to show you this one from Cottage Living. I think it looks so sick. She definitely has a little bit more pixelation on the side of her face. Then if you change it to a darker swatch, that pixelation goes away. It's definitely not as noticeable in some versions of this than it is in others. But you can still get natural kind of tones, but just change them up a little bit. Obviously, her base was actually ginger, and this isn't a brown that we have have in the game, but it looks absolutely stunning. Like, there are so many different versions of hairs that you can get with these overlays, and I definitely think like the amount of colors that you can get, especially if you want to tell a certain story, definitely outweighs like the pixelation and also like the roots issue on a few. I will actually go through some hairstyles though, and I definitely feel like this is one of those mods that Josh is probably gonna continue to work on and like see little pieces and then be like, okay, how can I change this? How can I figure this out? So it's not only like the newer EA hairstyles that this works with, it definitely works with the older ones as well. And then of course it does work on custom content hairs as well. It doesn't work on every single custom content hair. Josh kind of goes into the depth of this, and I've never attempted to make like custom content hairs, so I don't really know all of like the inner workings. I don't know like the language of custom content hairs, but basically he says compatible with all custom content Maxis match hair or any hair that doesn't require transparencies. I noticed some CC creators occasionally use the hat region and other regions for their hair CC's UV map. This hair overlay will not affect textures placed in those regions. So if you see like kind of blocky bits that aren't colored in with like the color that you want, that is the reason why. And also the V1 version doesn't affect textures placed on the neck area, so I added a second version that also affects that area. So this is all to do with like the UV mapping of certain hairs. Use the V2 only if the V1 doesn't affect the whole hair. For example, like the picture below, this one right here. So this is probably mapped to actually the neck of the sim, so that's when you would use V2. So let's do that real quickly. There's still a little bit of like discoloration on those parts, but definitely not as much. And there is a little bit of green on the neck, so if that's gonna bother you, then I just probably wouldn't use a hair that actually has a different color to it. But I do think this is actually gonna be real handy for all of you who love a good not so berry challenge or any type of like create a sim challenge where you have to make sims with different hair colors and you don't really like the ones that EA have given us. This is also so sick for plant sims. Justice for plant sims in The Sims 4, honestly. I so wish that they added it as a proper recall. But it also works just like the regular makeup, so you can actually save your own custom colors. So if you really like a color and you're like, I'm never gonna be able to recreate this ever again, boom, you can just hit the add preset and it will add a little custom swatch for you. I will say it does slightly change the texture of the hair. Like, it kind of removes some of the shininess, I guess you could say. It definitely makes them look a little bit more matte. I really don't mind that personally. Again, this is all just like personal preference. I'm gonna have all of Josh's links down below to both his Twitter and also this specific mod over on CurseForge. Like I said, you can just download this in the CurseForge browser and then drag and drop it into your Sims 4 mods folder. If you do download this, oh my goodness, please share the Sims that you make. You can at them to me over on Twitter at EnglishSimmer. I will give a disclaimer because I feel like I could potentially get questions about this. If your Sims have a cheeky little woohoo and actually have a baby, the baby will just come out probably very likely with one of the two parents' base color. So they're not going to be born with unnatural colors. They can't be born with unnatural colors anyway, which I kind of wish The Sims 4 just got rid of that rule. I wish that they allowed you to have like the pinks, blues, and greens for kid Sims, but just keep that in mind. Whatever base color you actually choose to then start making your swatch on, that's what your children are very likely to have, pretty much just the way that it's always worked in The Sims 4. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will speak to you all in my next one. Bye now.